Today we are going to solve rational equations. A blank is an equation in which one or more of the terms is a fraction. That's a rational equation. I'm going to write it below, but it does go in the blank. Alright, these are our steps. We're going to use algebra to make the left and right side of the equation one fraction. Cross multiply, solve for x, and you have to check. Because if you have something where the denominator is going to be 0, then it doesn't work. So we have 4 over x is equal to 9 over x minus 2. Left hand side is one fraction and the right hand side is one fraction, so we can go straight to step 2, which is cross multiply. So cross multiplying, 4 times x minus 2 is 4x minus 8. And then we have 9 times x is 9x. Solve for x. So I'm going to subtract 4x. So I'll get negative 8 is equal to 5x. And divide by 5. X is equal to negative 8/5. Now we have to check to make sure it works. Okay, so for our check, we'll have 4 over negative 8/5, you plug in your x, has to equal 9 over negative 8/5 minus 2. Okay, you can use your calculator to help you. If you take 4 divided by negative 8/5 in your calculator, it'll say negative 2.5. And then when you type the second one in your calculator, you have to make sure you use parentheses in your denominator. So as long as you use parentheses in your denominator, you'll see it does equal negative 2.5, so it checks out. So my final answer is x equals negative 8/5. Moving on to the next problem. Next problem is going to be a little bit more work because we have, on the left-hand side, we don't have the one fraction. So we need to force it to be one fraction. And the way we do that is by finding a common denominator. Now the common denominator between 3x and 4 is going to be 12x. So the first one I'm going to multiply by 4. And the second fraction I'm going to multiply by 3x. Okay, so then we're going to get 4 times 6 is 24, plus 5 times 3x is 15x over 12x equals 3 over x. Now that you have one fraction on the left and one fraction on the right, we can cross multiply. So cross multiplication, 24 plus 15x times x is going to be 24x plus 15x squared equals, on the other side, 12x times 3 is 36x. Solve for x, let's set it equal to 0, so I'm going to move the 36x over to the other side. You'll have 15x squared, and then 24 minus 36 is a negative 12x equals 0. To solve this, I can see I have a GCF. The GCF between 15x squared and negative 12x is going to be 3x. Oops, forgot the pen. 3x. Taking a 3x out of 15x squared will be 5x. Minus 3x times negative 4 would give me that negative 12x. Solving for x, we get x equals 0 and x equals 4/5. Now we have to check to make sure they both work. And I'm actually going to tell you that 4/5 will work. I'm going to try to save us some time here. But I'm going to show you that x equals 0 does not work. Okay, when I plug in and x equals 0 into my original equation, I would have 6 over 3 times 0 plus 5/4 would have to equal 3 over 0. Well, 6 over 0 plus 5/4 would have to equal 3 over 0. We've got a problem. You are not allowed to have a 0 in the denominator. When that happens, the answer doesn't work, so you cross it off. And again, if you were to check 4/5, it would work. I'm just going to try to save us time and just show you that the x equals 0 doesn't work. That's why I crossed it off. Now for my last problem. I can see on the left-hand side I need to find a common denominator because I need one fraction. The common denominator between a plus 1 and a minus 1 is a plus 1 times a minus 1. So the first one needs an a minus 1. And the second one needs an a plus 1. A minus 1 times 1 is a minus 1. 1 times a plus 1 is a plus 1 over my new denominator equals the other side. Now look what happens if I factor a squared minus 1. It factors to a minus 1, a plus 1. The next step would be combine like terms in that numerator and cross multiply, but please notice your denominators. You have the same denominator on the left and the right hand side of the equal sign. If that is the case, what you are allowed to do is just set the numerators equal to each other. So I can set the a minus 1 plus a plus 1 equal to 2 and just solve for a. When I do that, I get a plus a is 2a. Negative 1 plus 1 is 0 equals 2. Now that problem just became a lot easier. To solve this, just divide by 2 and you get a equals 1. Remember, we do have to check, and I'm going to take the time to check it. I check into the original. I'm going to plug a 1 in. So I would have a 1 over 1 plus 1 is 2 plus 1 over 1 minus 1 is 0 equals 2 over 1 squared minus 1 is 0. Please look, you have zeros in the denominator. Okay, that's not allowed. So we know this answer doesn't work. We're going to cross it off. Now you have no other answers left. So when you've got nothing left, you have a no solution. So you write somewhere on the problem, no solution. And we will continue this tomorrow.